Yo, yo, what's going on, my fellow wrestling fans? Welcome to a brand new week, and welcome to a very bittersweet edition of what we like to call the Clash of Champions, where we dive headfirst into all the controversy, storylines, personalities, and in this case, unfortunate deaths that center around this world we know and love as professional wrestling. I am your host, the vegan you believe in, Conscious Kurt, aka Kurt GPT, in the flesh as always, and my co-host needs no introduction, but the hell with it. He's going to give y'all one anyway.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jonathan Randall, the Adventurer himself, and welcome to our special edition of our wrestling rewind recap. We'll be going back to July 1999, reviewing Fully Loaded 1999, which took place in both Buffalo, New York. But before we get into that, we do have wrestling news to jump ahead this past week, but unfortunately, this whole week has been pretty tragic, especially earlier this morning.
Yes, we've had some weird celebrity deaths take place this week, which included Malcolm Jamal Warner from The Cosby Show, passed away on Monday. Also, legendary rock and roll artist Ozzy Osbourne died on Tuesday. And in a wrestling related one, and possibly arguably the biggest one of them all, this morning the news came out that Hulk Hogan, aka Terry Bollea, passed away at his home in Florida of cardiac arrest at 71 years old.
Yeah, as it was reported, he had cardiac arrest and they tried to rush him to the hospital, but as soon as they got there, it was too late to save him. 71 years old, and yes, this is a very tragic and shocking passing.
Yeah, it's very shocking. It still hasn't really hit me yet because I was like scrolling through my Facebook and I saw somebody post saying that first Malcolm Jamal Warner, then Ozzy Osbourne, now Hulk Hogan. I'm like, no, it can't be. It can't be. And then I'm scrolling up on Facebook and I even checked Google and whatnot, and it was all there. Hogan's passed away.
Yeah, I was the same way too. I found out on social media. It's kind of like similar when Kobe passed away a few years ago. Didn't believe it. It was I thought it was like a hoax or something like that, but I had to verify and double check, and yeah, it was true. And this is very shocking. I mean, we had a lot of deaths in the world of wrestling, but this one right here, not saying everybody else in the past didn't hit, but this one, it's Hulk Hogan, and despite of what a lot of people may think of him, especially over the past few years, what he has done, did, and said, you cannot deny the fact as a wrestler, he was an icon. He is a legend, and he left an impact on professional wrestling. Professional wrestling will not be here as today if it wasn't for him. There's no denying that.
And you know what's the weird part of this? Today is the 10-year anniversary of when the whole racist story came out, when like the whole audio got leaked and all that went down. Today is the 10-year anniversary of that.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And yeah, that was like a huge black eye to his legacy. I think it's one of those things that people like never really forgave him for, and it's understandable. And it's not even just that, it's like a lot of other things he's done over the years that we've heard about, that he's even admitted himself, that kind of made you less of a fan than you were of his initially. But regardless of that, regardless of the personal feelings you feel towards him, myself included, you're lying to yourself if you say that he wasn't one of the main reasons that wrestling became mainstream, became popular, and you'd also be lying to yourself if you said that he wasn't the reason many of you became a fan in the first place. Because I know myself, when I first started watching wrestling in 1994, one of the main people I gravitated towards that I adored was Hulk Hogan. It was just different with him. Just that personality, that larger than life persona, the yellow and red, the ripping of the shirt, the real American theme song, the posing. Yeah, there was just nothing like it. And as a little kid, as an 8-year-old kid, I ate it all up. And yeah, for years, he was one of my favorites and one of the people I just really honestly looked up to and looked at as like the example of what to be. I mean, I know in years that passed beyond that, I learned things about him that maybe, not look at him the same way. But those childhood memories, especially when I first discovered wrestling and first discovered Hogan specifically, I can't ever let those go. I can't ever forget those.
Yeah, there's no denying in that. Absolutely, because you're right. You would be lying to yourself if he did not leave an impact on you. Especially, I mean, no offense, Kurt. I mean, at your age or older, who was the first guy, who was the first icon in your life that in wrestling? Hulk Hogan to me started that trend of superstardom in professional wrestling. Their aura, their fan base, just something about them that just makes everything, good. Was Hulk Hogan, and it led to, Stone Cold, and then The Rock, John Cena, so on and so forth. So, and when I first started watching professional wrestling, Hulk Hogan was a bad guy. He was in the NWO, but he was still popular though.
Yeah, he was the figurehead behind two big wrestling booms. The one in the '80s with the Hulkamania run, and then in the '90s with the whole NWO run. And he did one as a good guy and one as a bad guy. That is unheard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, that '80s run especially, he was one of the most famous people on earth. Like with Michael Jackson, with Prince, with Whitney Houston, Madonna, all the Magic Johnson, all the people who were famous during that time frame. Hulk Hogan, you could throw into that mix too. That dude was everywhere. And without Hogan becoming mainstream and blowing up the way he did and helping wrestling blow up the way it did, there's no Attitude Era. There's no Stone Cold Steve Austin blowing up and becoming as big as he did. The Rock, John Cena, anybody else down the line. Hulk Hogan was the first one who really had that crossover appeal. And regardless of whether you like the dude or not, you have to give flowers and you have to give props where it's due.
Thank you. And as a wrestling fan, you have to. And like I said, alluded to earlier, he is the one who started that trend of superstardom in the business. And also, like you're right, Hulk Hogan was everywhere. He was that guy where, man, this guy's so big and popular. He could be used everywhere, and you didn't have to be a wrestling fan to know who he was. Non-wrestling fans, I guarantee you, in the '80s, oh, I don't watch wrestling, but I know who Hulk Hogan is. You saw him everywhere, not just in the ring, but also in movies. His little short um that he had in Rocky 3. That was and this was before he got there, but you look back at it, that was like, oh my god. You know what I mean? And then he was everywhere, man, and he started that. And you have to give him his respect and his flowers. I've been hearing a lot of people, some people on social media, mainly Twitter, talking about like, oh, he deserves to die and all that. Look, I don't condone that. I don't support them wishing death on somebody or being happy that somebody died. Um, it's a bit too much to be saying something like that, but I don't know.
Yeah, look, I haven't been the biggest fan of him in the last, I would say, decade or so. I even wrote a diss to him last year that I posted all over my social media. Yeah, I have not been shy on this show to talk about like my feelings about Hulk Hogan in recent years. But with that aside, even if you don't like somebody personally, and even if they were a horrible person, to be happy that they died, to celebrate that they died, that speaks every bit as poorly on your part. By saying those kind of things and like celebrating the death of someone else, you're not any better than the person whose death you're celebrating.
Yeah,
Whether that's Hulk Hogan, whether that's Trump, any evil person or horrible person that's ever lived, to ever like celebrate and be happy that somebody died, that is a bad look. I don't care what anyone thinks of me for saying that. I mean that.
it's a very bad look. I agree. And look, like I said, man, he hasn't come off in the right way. These past like 10 years or so. But as the wrestler, you cannot deny the fact what he's did for this business. You cannot. And just so many just great moments, man. I don't even know where to begin. You could go back to he can't he was like one of the founders of WrestleMania. You could say that.
He was, yeah.
Yeah.
He,
One
he
of
was
them.
the first pretty much 8 to 9 WrestleManias were built around him.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you think of like those Godfathers, those people who like WrestleMania was famous for, it's Hogan, it's Shawn, it's Undertaker, it's Macho Man, Austin, Rock. Yeah, but Hogan was the first one.
And
And
let's
yeah,
oh sorry. Sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead, go ahead.
And let's not forget the one more important thing that a wrestler needs of how popular they are. You know what that is?
The It Factor,
Not just that, merchandise.
charisma. Oh yeah, it goes without saying.
My God, he before Stone Cold Steve Austin was like the top seller merchandise because he was the one who surpassed Hogan, right? Hogan's merchandise at that time, whoa,
Yeah,
just
you watch those shows from back then, the whole crowd is filled with people wearing Hogan shirts, Hulk Rule shirts, Hogan bandanas, Hogan foam fingers, you name it.
just and I was watching a clip from WrestleMania 18 when Hogan kicked out from the rock bottom, and just hearing that crowd just erupted like that it gave me it to this day still gives me goosebumps because Hogan was a bad guy, but he got a babyface reaction. That's unheard of. I did not expect that. I know you didn't and nobody else did. That's how
Yeah,
popular and how much the fans love this guy. Good or bad, they still love this man. This was their first, or this is what I remember Jerry Lawler during that match said that Hogan was like the Babe Ruth of wrestling. I was like, I agree with that.
yeah, you can't argue that at all. And just those reactions he would get, especially like back in the peak of the Hulkamania era, it was electric.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you, like there were other stars of that era. There was Macho Man, there was Ultimate Warrior, there was Roddy Piper, there's Andre the Giant, all those people. But it was just different with Hogan. Like they liked and even loved those other guys, but they adored Hulk Hogan. Like there was just
Hmm.
something you just had that connection with Hogan, especially when you were a kid, that you did not have with anybody else.
And that's
And
what
that
you had
was
to do. Oh, sorry.
one of the things that was so special about him.
Yeah, and that's as a wrestler, that's one of the things you need to hit on. You need to have the connection with the crowd, and that was one of the things that Hogan was really good at, connecting with the crowd, not just in the not just in his matches, but also in his promos. What was the
Oh
biggest
yeah,
things? What was like the biggest things that he was always saying? Eat your vitamins and say your prayers.
and believe in
But like,
yourself.
yeah, that was like motivating, and especially as a kid during that time, you're just like, oh my god, like I want to eat my vitamins. I want to say my prayers. I want to train and eat healthy and be like this guy. You know what I mean? Because he's just, look at this guy.
Yeah, I remember they did that Hogan DVD a couple years ago. They like showed him like signing autographs at this one place, and literally some of the fans that would go up to him, they would start crying and just say that they, stayed out of gangs because of him. They didn't do drugs because of him. Like he was legit like their hero and like their role model in a sense. Whether or not he was that way in real life, that's another story. But just that image of Hogan growing up, he just made you want to be a better person, even if
Hmm.
maybe he wasn't that same person himself sometimes or most
Yeah.
times.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it is complicated. I will admit, like at the end of the day, it still is complicated. I mean, I don't feel the same sadness that I felt, when Macho Man passed away or others passed away. But at the same time, I still do feel this loss. Like, especially if, as a longtime wrestling fan, this loss really hits different in a way that no other death of any other wrestler has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
especially
it's
if you
weird.
were like a big fan of him growing up. This really hits hard. You know what I mean? Especially if that was that person who you. This is the reason why I've gotten into professional wrestling because of him. If you feel that way, then yeah, but like I said, it is um it it's a mixed reaction right now going on. You have half the people are saying how they're saddened, and then you have the other half where like, what, I don't care if he passed away or I'm glad he's gone and all that and blah blah blah. It's mixed.
Yeah, and it's so crazy. His last ever appearance on WWE television will always be remembered for that night of the Raw debut on Netflix in LA where he just got booed out of the building.
Yeah. And even
Yeah,
that, they were talking, like, even like outside news sources were even talking about it. and we kind of, we blew it off, like, hey, you don't know what's going on, but this is the reason why he's getting that reaction, and you guys are kind of like making the big deal of it because of who he is. And you fast forward now and look what's happened now. So it's
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah, it's really sad, and it's unfortunate that that's going to be your last memory of Hogan on WWE TV. Was that? And
yeah.
unfortunately, I hate to say it, he did that to himself.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, I'm not gonna justify for what he did, and yeah, what he did was wrong.
Yeah,
You can't erase that. You can't. And but I'm looking more on when I think of Hulk Hogan. I try not to think about that. I try to I look at him and think of what he did for us as wrestling fans, what he did for the business. You know what I mean? So
it's complicated, but I try to look at both sides of it. That's the way I try to look at it.
yeah,
If you're gonna look at all the good in someone, and acknowledge all the good in someone, you also have to acknowledge the bad.
yeah.
And yeah, those bad things, admittedly, they're just things I can't forget about. But with that aside, I'll never forget those great memories I had of Hogan when I first became a fan at 8 years old. All the great, memorable angles and matches he was a part of that I've enjoyed throughout my years of being a fan, whether it was WrestleMania 1, whether it was the body slam to Andre at WrestleMania 3, the whole Mega Power storyline with Savage, the Ultimate Challenge with Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania 6. And crazy enough, even though he lost, that's one of my favorite matches and memories of Hogan, period.
Oh yeah, that was, and him. I wasn't born, right,
I was
but
4 years old.
I couldn't I couldn't imagine, or Edge, Adam Copeland was at WrestleMania 6. I can imagine if you're a Hulkamaniac that age, seeing your wrestler lose. I know that was pretty much like very just heartbreaking and devastating.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then the Earthquake storyline that followed that, where like Earthquake put him out, he got like mad fan support and mad fan letters, like wishing for him to come back. Yeah, it was crazy, man. Yeah, they just that's like when you knew that Hogan was the bigger star than Warrior, because as much as people liked Warrior, he would not get that kind of reaction from the fans that Hogan did, or have that kind of
Yeah.
connection with the fans that Hogan did. And then obviously he went to WCW. It was kind of a little slow for the first few years, but then when he turned and formed the NWO, and that whole thing blew up. Yeah, it was crazy. It was you hated him. You were like mad at him for turning. You were mad at him for doing what he was doing. But admittedly, it was the start of like a huge wrestling boom, and probably the biggest wrestling boom there's been, at least in my lifetime of being a fan. Yeah, just Hogan being a bad guy, that whole NWO run, it was out of this world, out of this damn world.
And it was something that the wrestling, and whether if it was WCW or WWF at the time, it was something that it needed,
Yeah,
and it was much needed. It was breaking away from old traditions from the 80s, and you're coming into new generation, new decade, new time. Things needed to be different. And you would think that Hogan turning bad was going to be a bad business decision. It was not. Financially and viewership wise, his business wise, it was like the best decision that was ever made in wrestling because of that.
yeah, and he was a great heel. From that night he turned into that promo in the ring and all the people were throwing garbage, you were like, damn, this is really gonna be big. And he did that role for like a good 2, 3 years or so. And he had like Dennis Rodman as his tag team partner at one point. And yeah, he spray painted the belt with the NWO letters. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was running roughshod. Yeah, he was a great heel. He was a great heel during that
Oh
period.
yeah.
I'll never deny that. And then he had the nostalgia run in WWE like in the early 2000s when he had the match with Brock at WrestleMania. He had that one last title reign that went on for like a month. And then he had like the match with Vince at WrestleMania 19. He had the great feud with Shawn. Yeah, he had a good run in the 2000s too. But then after that, obviously, things took a turn. And then a lot of his personal stuff started to come out. Yeah, the reality
Mm.
show, a lot more of that came out too from that. And then obviously the racist rant. The racist rant is probably the biggest black guy on his legacy more than anything else.
Yeah, man. And not only that though, but like I think ever since that I've noticed that like during that time up until now, it was like his family was just under a lot of scrutiny too. His wife or his ex-wife, his daughter, even in like his son was in some certain troubles at certain times, and yeah,
Yeah,
man,
that
it was
was
just
an
his whole entire family was just
Yeah, that was another thing that kind of made him come off bad. Was like when his son got put in jail for that incident where he crashed the car and like the person who was in the passenger seat turned into a vegetable pretty much for the rest of his life. There was like audio released of Hogan talking to his son on the floor, saying that it was probably God's work because that dude had like a bad aura to him, so it was karma coming back to him, and how they could like use all that material for the reality show to pop ratings. Yeah, that wasn't a good look. That did not make him come off
Mm,
well at all.
wow.
Not to mention the wrestlers union, how he ratted out Jesse Ventura for the whole wrestlers union thing. All the times he didn't want to lose, like the Bret Hart story we talked about in this show before.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a lot of black eyes on Hogan's legacy. There's a lot of things that he did throughout his years that really tarnished his legacy and like made you less of a fan of his. And it's sad, it's unfortunate, but that's the unfortunate reality of the situation.
Not only that, let's not forget about his feud with Shawn Michaels. As great as that buildup was, like I remember years ago when when I was watching the Shawn Michaels documentary about what transpired and the lead up to it, kind of rubbed me off the wrong way when I heard like the true story behind that.
Yeah, yeah, just things like that that made you kind of look at him differently and say like,
Yeah, like
like
he
this dude
didn't.
isn't who I thought he was.
Yeah, that's how Sean felt. It was kind of like, wait a minute, like he doesn't want to, like he wants to do a heel versus babyface, and well, I don't want to do this and do that, and kind of like, huh? That's why Sean oversettled in that
Yeah, I
match
remember.
to prove a point, which to this day somebody commented on Twitter saying, "I'm going to watch SummerSlam 2005. If you know, you know." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I know."
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, like I said, it's complicated, man. There's the good side of it from like the memorable moments and matches he was a part of, and in many ways why you became a fan. But there's also the dark side of it, of all of his politicking, his racist rants, among and like his issues with his family, like him,
Mm,
his like daughter not wanting to talk to him or his ex-wife. Yeah, there's a lot of, and also the Trump supporting recently, like the openly supporting Trump and being on Fox News and like ripping off his shirt and it says "Make America Great Again" underneath. Yeah, like a lot of that stuff obviously like made you look at him differently too. But in closing, I'll say this: unfortunately, when we get older, we start to see that our heroes, the people we look up to, idolizing, whether it's wrestlers in this case, or actors, or musicians, athletes, whoever it is, unfortunately, we learn that a lot of them maybe aren't the heroes or maybe the good people that we thought they were. And it does kind of tarnish our feelings towards them and tarnish our fandom towards them. And while it's, understandable and it's fair to, hold them accountable for those things and maybe not be as much of a fan of them for those things, it's also okay to hold on to those good memories you did have of them, whether you were at a concert enjoying their show or whether you were watching a game of theirs with your family or with your friends, and like the great memories you have of that, or maybe the great moments you or great memories you had of watching Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania or Hulk Hogan in WCW during the NWO run or whatever it is, or a movie. You get my drift. Yeah, like both of those things can be true. Like both of those things you can still hold on to, and both of those things you can still, view that person as. Whether it's the good side, the bad side, you don't have to pick one or the other. So I'll say, as a longtime Hogan fan, it is complicated. It is weird. It still hasn't really fully hit me yet that he's dead, but I'll always cherish. I'll always have good feelings of those good memories that I gained from watching Hogan throughout my wrestling fandom. Those things I can never forget. I can never let go. And for what he contributed to wrestling, for what he did for wrestling to make it mainstream and make it popular and to make people like you and I become fans and have a podcast in the first place, he won't ever, and I sincerely mean this for better or worse, he is somebody who won't ever be forgotten. And in my life, I will never forget. Condolences to his family.
rest in peace. My conclusion to this, not just for Hogan, but just in general, we all have heroes and idols that we look up to, not just in wrestling, but could be an athlete, musician, or even a movie star in Hollywood.
Yeah.
We all have people that we look up to and adore and cherish, and we never take those for granted because there's a reason why we look up to them. And We never want to forget them. And I think the biggest thing is that what we learn from them to motivate us in life. That's for one thing. Um, yeah, it is mixed emotions. And like I said before, regardless of how you felt about him, especially what he's done over the past 10 years, just you cannot forget about what he's did, lasting an impact, for us wrestling fans. Because I'm telling you, without him, and I mean this, without him, professional wrestling would not be here big as it is if it wasn't for him. It really wouldn't.
Yeah, without him, there's no WrestleMania, there's no SummerSlam, there's no Monday Night Raw, there's no Monday Night Raw on Netflix. Yeah, without him, we don't have wrestling as popular as it's become in these last 40 years.
And not only that, let's not forget. Let's just say if Hogan ever turned heel in WCW, there will be no Monday Night Wars.
Yeah, no Monday Night Wars, no Attitude Era, no Stone Cold, no Rock, DX. Yeah, the NWO was the catalyst for all that.
Yeah, and I'll go back to what Jerry Lawler said back at WrestleMania 18. And guys, if you guys are listening, go back and watch that match. If I had to like, if there was like a top 10 or top 5 list of Hulk Hogan matches, literally that is like top 5.
Oh
Watch
yeah,
that match.
no question about it.
Pay close attention to what JR and Jerry the King Lawler is saying during that match. Even JR, even to this day, I think Lawler says that that's like one of his favorite matches he ever called was that match between The Rock and Hulk Hogan.
I think Jim
He,
Ross said that too.
yeah, okay. He mentioned how you know Hulk Hogan is the Babe Ruth of the WWE, and I truly believe that he is. He is the founder. And look, there have been. I'm not taking anything away from the ones that came before him, like Freddie, classy Freddie Blassie, and
Bruno
Bruno.
Sammartino.
I'm not taking anything away from those guys. I'm not. I'm talking about superstardom, entertainment wise, for the business. It's Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, there was only one, and there'll never be another like him.
Right. Rest in
All
peace.
right, all right. So moving on to our current wrestling news for the week, we do have SummerSlam coming up next Saturday and next Sunday, taking place for MetLife Stadium. And while the card does look great, there are some great matches on this card. I have to be honest, this show and this build up for this show feels very, very, very rushed and very, very, very thrown together.
It's because we only have less. We got a week and a half left, and yeah, it's kind of it's a little bit of a bad timing of a stretch, man. It's not really a whole lot you could do, sadly. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird how they bunched up everything within like a month. You had Saturday night's main event, you had Evolution, you had
It was
what,
not a
what
part of the same company, but AEW All In. And
yeah,
hell, they had Night of Champions just 2 weeks before that. So that's like four major shows within like a 5 week period.
that was a lot. Mm.
Yeah, for the biggest event of the year besides WrestleMania, and considering that I'm going, I have to be honest, it doesn't feel that special the way it should feel special.
And let's not forget, this is the first time that they're doing 2 nights for SummerSlam.
Yeah, and the two matches that are most guilty of that lack of build and lack of feeling special are the two main events, believe it or not.
Yeah. So we'll go back to this
SmackDown,
past
let's
Friday
go
on
back to,
SmackDown.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Cena and Cody Rhodes contract signing, or
Yeah.
Cody signing the contract on Cena's behalf, which I'm not sure will hold up in court.
Oh, that's a good one. Because Zena could dispute that and say, like, well, wait a minute, I technically I didn't sign. He forced me. And then you look, there's a picture of his signature. Signature doesn't even look that big as Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, John Cena came out for the contract signing on Friday, like, trying to weasel his way out of it, talking about how his schedule won't allow him to do it. It's not a good time. They should postpone it. And
Hmm.
then him and him and Cody got into like this brawl because Cody chased him afterwards and got into this brawl, and then Cody eventually laid out Cena, and then he made Cena sign the contract. He like forced Cena to sign the contract himself, and he revealed that the match between the two of them for the WWE title at SummerSlam will be a street fight.
I like it. I
Yeah,
like it.
it makes sense because obviously Cena's very limited these days. So the street fight stipulation was like give him more to work with, and it'll be a way to hide all of that. So and they could do like a bunch of shenanigans in it too. So yeah, it makes sense.
And I said this earlier. I even posted this on our Instagram page not too long ago. I truly believe that this rematch will be better than the one at WrestleMania. We will
It
not
better
have no
be.
trap. Yet it will. Trust me. It. We will not have no Travis Scott shenanigans or worry about, oh my god, if The Rock is going to show up or not. Which was reported the other day that there's probably no reports of him showing up. I don't care. But
Yeah.
yeah, um, I feel like because of the stipulation and because of the mistake that they made at WrestleMania, yeah, they have no choice. And I truly believe that this rematch will be better.
Yeah, it has to be. Now, with it just being the two of them, hopefully it stays just between the two of them. And if
Mm,
there's any shenanigans, it's not like from anybody random like Travis Scott or like some random celebrity. So yeah, hopefully it just stays, between Cena and Cody. But it just hurts that the build is kind of lackluster with Cena only being available for one appearance during the month of July.
yeah.
His next appearance probably won't be until SmackDown next week. And for the biggest match of like the entire show, like the main event of the entire show, you only have like one segment to build it up. I don't care how big of stars that they both are, the past history they've had, like, even before SummerSlam, that is not enough time to build this. Not enough time.
Yeah. And you have in a superstar caliber like that, and it's a championship match. Your one of your biggest events of the year, you have to tell a story in your build up. You have to come on now. It's the rematch from WrestleMania this year. That come on, like I think the fact that they're not really hyping it up in their build up, it kind of shows like it's really not important, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, because after how bad that match at WrestleMania turned out, you would think they want to redeem themselves. They want to do a better job with the build for this match. But
Yeah,
yeah, it hasn't been any better.
yeah, they have no choice. So, do I believe it will be a better match? Yeah, I'm just not really too high on their build up. They could have did a little better job. I'm not saying what happened last Friday was bad. That was good. What I saw was good, but it's like okay, keep keep it consistent and make gravitate your crowd and your audience to wanting to be more invested into this match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And another match that's been guilty of a very lackluster build is the main event for night one of SummerSlam, as it'll be World Heavyweight Champion Gunther defending his title against CM Punk. And they had a brief segment this past Monday on Raw where CM Punk came out and talked about how he doesn't know he's going to win or lose the match, but he's going to do the best he can and leave it all out in the ring and that he won't quit. And then Gunther comes out to interrupt and says he's going to embarrass him, he's going to bully him, and he's going to drop him like a wet towel, and he's talking about how, like, unlike Punk, his ego was actually justified and his ego actually produces results. And he just basically said before he left, like, at least you have these degenerates referring to the crowd cheering for you. And then Gunther just walked away and Punk said nothing back.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, you had that great little bit of a standoff from last week after Punk won the gauntlet match. That was cool. I was like, oh my God, this is great. This is going to be amazing. Then you had this. I didn't like how it ended. I'm not saying it was Punk's fault. Like, I know the writers were behind this, but it's like, wait a minute. When Gunther walked off, I just knew, like, okay, Punk is going to say something, but he didn't. I was like, wait a minute, what was this? And I was very disappointed with that segment, man. This was their first one on one segment that they had. And the reason why I'm very disappointed in this segment and this build up, especially because, look, we already knew before that John Cena was going to only, John Cena and Cody Rhodes are going to have like one face to face with each other. before SummerSlam. So you already knew that, all right, your other championship match, this one that I'm referring to, this is the one where you really need to like step up your game and your build up. And you got to prove yourself now. And he didn't. Like Gunther talking to Punk like that, and Punk didn't even say anything. That was just kind of like off. Very weak segment, man. Not that's un CM Punk like for him. I know he wouldn't allow that, but not saying again. I'm not saying it was his fault. It was just that the writers. I was like, bro, what are you guys doing? Not a good way to start off your
Yeah,
build up.
yeah, they don't have a lot of time to work with. They only have a few weeks until SummerSlam. And yo, that segment was a huge waste. Because the main thing I was looking forward to with this buildup was the back and forth promos between the two of them. Because I figured they would roast the hell out of each other. But yeah, they just wasted that whole segment on Monday. And they only have one more chance to like really sell this match, which will be Raw this Monday. And if they don't do anything to spice it up, if they don't do anything to get you like really amped up to see this match, then yo, they deserve to be shitted on for how they've treated this build big time.
Yeah, and because I was saying like, oh my god, of all the matches, I was really I'm looking forward to this match. But when I saw that, I was like, no, really, that's it.
Yeah, this,
It's
yeah, it just feels like WWE starting to kind of I don't want to say fall off, but they're definitely taking a step down compared to the last 2 years. I was even talking about that on Wade Keller's show on Monday when we did the post Raw show. We talked about the fact that like the collapse, you don't really see it happen right away, but there's just like certain little things you can tell about like about a company starting to like fall into a down period or starting to fall from their peak. And I have to be honest, like the last 6 or 7 months or so with WWE, it definitely hasn't felt as good as it did before. There's parts of it that are still good, parts of it I still like, but the flaws have been very noticeable.
true, and like I said, man, like this is a world championship match. Your other championship match is not really gonna do anything else for the build up. So for this one, you really need to up the ante on this one, you know. And I look at the match card. I love this match card. I believe like this match card looks a little bit better than last year's, if I'm being quite honest. That's why I'm. But again, it's the timing, and then we have like a week and a half left. It's just they merged
Yeah,
all these events. They just bunched it up all at the wrong time. And let's not forget, after SummerSlam we have Clash in Paris, which is later that month in
yeah.
late August. That's
At least
is
they
too
have four
much.
weeks to build to that one. At least they have like an actual like 4 week period to build to it. But yeah,
Yeah.
this is all these shows feel like very crunched together, and it has taken away from the SummerSlam build big time, especially with those two matches. But one match that
Mm.
does feel pretty interesting that they really sold well on Monday is the tag match that's been made official since then. We're gonna get Roman Reigns and Jey Uso against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed.
Well, man, having Roman Reigns back was such a great feeling. It was something that we really needed, and that pop that he got was just amazing. It got to the point where us wrestling fans and critics are asking everybody and ourselves, the pop that he got, is Roman Reigns on at the level of The Rock, Stone Cold, and John Cena? And I say yes. He is the needle mover.
Yeah, and he got a great reaction on Monday. I like that segment he had with Heyman, Breaker, and also Bronson Reed, where he was talking about how he stayed home to raise the new bloodline, and he said that Heyman's not a wise man anymore; he's a dumbass, and how he made him a part of the family. He tried to make him a part of the family, and then he turned his back on him for his best friend that left for 10 years.
Yeah.
And then Braun Breaker tried to talk shit to him and like say that I'm the big dog now, I'm the big dog now. And then Roman said, I couldn't hear any of the trash you're talking because of that mic of yours. So here's a new mic. And then he throws him the mic and Superman punches him. And then obviously Reed and Breaker get the better of him. They double team him. And then Jey Uso comes out to, come to his rescue. And then they both spear Breaker and Reed at the same time. That was so fucking dope.
Yeah. You just knew when Roman Reigns came back last week. You knew that they were going to do a tag team match with each other. It was so obvious. So yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm looking more forward to this match, and this match feels more interesting than either one of the championship matches.
Mm.
Yeah, so we're getting that match. We had the tag match, and also it was made official last week that we're getting Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Intercontinental title. And this past Monday on Raw, some special stipulations were added to the match, as if Lyra loses, she can never challenge for the Women's Intercontinental title again as long as Becky's champion. But then Lyra put out a stipulation she wanted to add to, which will be no disqualifications, no count out. There must be a winner.
I like it. I like the stipulation because you go back to well, yeah, you go back to the last two matches, especially the one at Backlash. Just a lot going on. Same thing at Money in the Bank. So I love the stipulation, and I'm looking forward to this match as well.
Yeah, with how great their feud's been over the last few months, it's been the most consistent part of Raw ever since it started. And yeah, this is finally going to be the blow off. But even though it's probably going to be the blow off, there's a certain somebody I see getting involved in one way or another. And that someone is Bailey, especially considering that she talked to Adam Pearce behind Lyra's back to get them a tag title match on Raw Monday. The tag title match didn't get at WrestleMania, and like you could like tell that Lyra wasn't happy about this. She wasn't feeling it, and throughout the match they kind of weren't clicking. But then as
Mm,
the match went on, it looked like they had it won. But then Lyra was about to try to tag in Bailey, but then Becky showed up from underneath the ring and pulled her down and attacked her. And then when Bailey went for the tag, Lyra was nowhere to be found, and that led to Bailey losing the match. So you know Bailey's gonna have an axe to grind for that, and she's gonna definitely confront Lyra over this probably as soon as Monday on Raw. And I could see her either being the guest referee for the match between Lyra and Becky at SummerSlam, or maybe attacking Lyra in a way afterwards. But either way, I'm sorry, not Becky, because she's already a heel. Bailey is turning heel, and it is inevitable. Her babyface run, it's numbered, it's finished, and yeah, she is turning heel between now and SummerSlam. It is inevitable.
I could see that, but if I had to pick between those scenarios that you said, Kurt, I would like to see her as a special guest referee.
Yeah, I'll get her on the show because look, she was left off of the WrestleMania card. To leave her off of the SummerSlam card too, you're asking her and begging her not to renew her contract when it's up.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
so she should still definitely be involved in one way or another, even though she's like not technically in the match. She definitely needs to find a way to get involved somehow. But I think Lyra and Bailey's going to be the feud coming out of SummerSlam that we're going to see.
Another match that I'm looking forward to that was added from this past Friday on SmackDown is Solo Sikoa defending his U.S. title against Jacob Fatu, but this time in a steel cage match.
Oh, that should be great. And
Yes.
funny enough, this is going to be the first steel cage match at SummerSlam since 2001.
Oh, right. A tag match between Undertaker and Kane versus DDP and Chris Canyon, right?
Canyon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Less we say about that match, the better, but I think this match will definitely deliver in one way. That match was a squash match. For a cage match, it was the biggest squash match I've ever
With
seen.
that, yeah, with that kind of build up that they had, oof.
It was
It was
pure
a
under.
good build up. It was a good build up because it was DDP stalking Undertaker's wife, but I was like, man, that build up in the match that they had was kind of like, okay. But anyway,
Yeah, that you could tell Undertaker didn't like DDP, but that's another story. So yeah, we have that match at SummerSlam. I figured it was going to go down that way, but I wasn't expecting the cage stipulation. But I'm not complaining. We
oh, I
also
love
have
it.
for the women's tag team titles as Charlotte used her pull, being Charlotte Flair, to get her and Alexa Bliss a shot at Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez.
I like it. I
Me
like it.
too.
I like the fact how Charlotte Flair stepping in, really getting comfortable and stepping into a new transition for her from being the top singles wrestler to now, okay, tag team. And not only a tag team, I want to challenge for the tag team women's tag team titles. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. It's definitely a nice switch up for her. But I like how she made fun of herself where she said, "Oh, I just went to Adam Pearce's office and asked for the match." Like, I'm still Charlotte Flair. I could still do those things and make them happen.
Yeah, even as a tag team.
Yeah, it's funny as hell. And
Yeah.
obviously, we have the triple threat for the women's world title with Naomi, Stephanie McCour.
Ooh.
I'm sorry, not Stephanie McCour. My
Oh.
bad. Let me rephrase that. In
She
addition to
confronted
that,
Stephanie.
yes, she did. In addition to that, we have a triple threat for the women's world championship, which features the new champion Naomi defending against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky.
Funny how at WrestleMania was a triple threat between Io Sky, Rhea Ripley, and Bianca Belair. Now it's switched. It's not Bianca Belair. It's Naomi.
Yeah, we'll see how well this match turns out. We'll see if it can
Should.
top or be as good as that triple threat we got at WrestleMania. Yeah, but or even the match between Io and Rhea at Evolution. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this match. That great angle we got at the end of Evolution, and the great match we saw even before that. It's really making this match feel like it feels special in the way that the main events don't feel special.
It's making the title now special again as well, and
Exactly.
you look at the ending from that match between Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, you're just like, oh man, and then Naomi, you have no other choice to make this a triple threat. It's the only best choice you could do.
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect. So we'll see how that match turns out. We also have his official on Raw Monday, Dominic Mysterio defending the Intercontinental title against AJ Styles after he's now been officially cleared.
I loved last Monday how everywhere Dominic went, AJ Styles was behind him, either as a
Funny as
car
hell.
valet or a, or was a security. What else did he do? He did
He was an EMT. He was an EMT
EMT.
at ringside. That was
Yeah,
hilarious.
that was just everywhere he went. He just wanted to check. Hey, are you good? Are you medically cleared? Obviously.
Yeah, it was genius stuff, but now Dominic is officially cleared. I think the way they paid it off at the end could have been a little better, but besides that, we're getting the match, so I guess
Oh,
that's all that matters.
look. At least what's funny. I feel like the undercard matches build up are doing so much better than the World Championship buildups. Isn't that sad?
Yeah, but it happens sometimes. We've seen other SummerSlams in the past where it's happened. Hell, even
Oh,
last year kind of had that. Last year's main event, the Cody and Solo Sikoa match, we weren't like really hyped for that match compared to the other ones.
yeah, of course. No, of course.
All right, but in any event, we also have Tiffany Stratton defending the women's title against Jade Cargill. We're likely going to get another match between Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross after what happened on Raw Monday where Kross beat him.
Good. Carrying
Makes
Cross is getting
sense.
pushed.
Yeah, he is
Thank
getting
God.
pushed.
Thank God. Justice has been served.
Good shit. Yeah, I'm happy that he's being elevated, and the Sammy feud's been doing
Thank
so
you.
good for him.
Thank you.
And I can see them adding Stephanie McCoy against Chelsea Green because of like the run-ins they've been having the last few weeks, and especially when Chelsea Green interfered in the Io Sky and McCoy match and caused it to end in a no contest again.
Mm.
So I can see them doing that match on the show. So yeah, the card for SummerSlam looks great, despite the build and the lack of time they've had to do a proper build. The card still looks good, and I think it'll still deliver in the end. And at the end of the day, that's what
Oh,
matters most.
oh my God. Let's not forget another tag team match. That's between Randy Orton and country singer Jelly Roll versus Logan, your mortal enemy, the douchebag fuck Logan Paul and his tag team partner Drew McIntyre. This is a little bit of a weird situation for Drew McIntyre. I kind of feel bad for him, no offense, because you go back to SummerSlam last year, he was in that great, amazing feud with CM Punk. Great match. Also with CM Punk last year with Seth Rollins as a special guest referee. You go from there to now you're in a tag team match against Jelly Roll, but Randy Orton too, though. But it's a little bit weird, though.
Yeah, at least it's not Travis Scott in the match, which Drew McIntyre was very vocal about
Oh
his
yeah,
appearance at WrestleMania in an interview
he
recently.
was right. No lies were told. I'm sorry. No lies were told when what he said. He meant what he said, and he was speaking the truth. I'm sorry. Having Travis Scott in just involved, it was just odd. And even having them when he was at Elimination Chamber was just weird. I was just like, well, I don't
Well,
see what the whole point.
Elimination Chamber I can excuse because he was like kind of like a background dude in that sense, even though he freaking busted Cody's eye and gave him a black eye. But at WrestleMania, he was like more of like the center of attention for it, which he didn't need to be. And yeah, that whole thing just sucked. But I don't think this match will suck because apparently Jelly Roll's been putting in a lot of work. He's been like really taking it
Mm-hmm.
seriously. So I think in the end it'll deliver. I think at the end of the day it'll still be a fun match.
Yeah. And it's a good way to bring other, like I've said this before, it's a good way to bring bring new fans in it, because you got to remember there's country or fans of Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll is a very popular country singer, and they see this and going to be like, oh, I want to, he's wrestling. I want to check this out. It was the same thing for Bad Bunny a few years ago, So yeah.
Yeah, so let's see how it turns out. I think Jelly Roll will put in a good performance. I don't know if it'll top, the Bad Bunnies or the Logan Pauls we've seen in the past,
Nope.
but I think he'll still, you know, look presentable in his performance. So yeah, we'll see
Yep.
how it goes. And maybe Eminem will be in their corner because him and Eminem had that song together on the Death of Slim Shady album.
Oh yeah.
Eminem could be in their corner, and maybe Kid Rock can be in Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre's corner.
Well, I'm surprised Eminem didn't show up to SummerSlam 2 years ago when I was in Detroit.
I don't know, maybe he had like a party to go to, like one of those drug ballad parties he talked about back on the Marshall Mathers LP.
Oh,
Nah, I'm just talking shit. He's been sober for 18 years. I'm just talking shit.
probably working at Mom's. I want to try that new restaurant though.
Oh, the Mom Spaghetti. Mom Spaghetti. I wonder if they have
Yes,
vegan options.
he
All
probably
right,
do.
but my brother, are you ready? Are you ready to jump into our wrestling DeLorean?
Oh hell yeah! Let's go back to the '90s.
Late 90s at that. We're going to take you guys back to July of 1999 as we are going to cover the Fully Loaded that took place on July 25th of that year. And this
Hmm.
is a crazy, wild, unpredictable, and out of control time for not only pro wrestling, but pop culture as a whole.
Yeah, and that event too. I was just watching that event yesterday, and not a whole lot of writing on the event. I mean, it was pretty much centered around just two matches. That being the main event between Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker in a first blood match. End of an era. If Austin lost, he will never ever get a title shot again. But if Stone Cold won, no more Vince McMahon.
Yeah, and in all honesty, I can't wait to get into that match later because,
Mhm.
in many ways, as big as the SummerSlam '98 match was with the whole Highway to Hell build up, this match in many ways felt every bit as big.
Of course, because of the stipulation, because of Vince McMahon being involved. And then let's not forget that classic title change that they had the month prior, the night after the King of the Ring, when Austin beat Undertaker for the title.
That
So,
was the highest rated segment on Raw at that point. That was the
yes.
highest rated Raw segment by that point in time. Yeah,
Crazy.
they were doing work in '99. I mean, granted, the product was out of control. It got too crazy for its own good.
Yeah.
But as far as ratings and as far as making money, WWE could do no wrong in 1999.
I'm telling you right now, out of all the years in that Attitude Era from 98 up until '01, I had to say 99 was probably like the most, it was literally like the Wild Wild West. No pun
Oh God.
intended for a movie that came out that summer, which we'll get into later.
Yeah, funny
Like,
enough, actually, let's get into that now. Actually, funny enough, around the time of this Fully Loaded, the number one movie that entire month of July of '99 was the ill-fated Wild Wild West with
oh
Will
my
Smith.
God, it was?
Yeah, it was the number one movie that month.
Wow. What was second? What was second?
I think it might have been The Haunting. I know The Haunting was the number one movie this weekend of this show. It was
Oh,
number
that
one.
was, it's funny. I was actually watching that movie with my girlfriend, like, was it a year ago? I haven't watched that in forever. That was kind of a, it was a okay movie, but a weird movie. You ever seen that movie?
Never saw it. No, I did not ever see it.
It's with William, no, Liam Nielsen from Taken, right?
And the upcoming
Catherine Z,
Naked,
Kath,
and the upcoming
Cat.
Naked Gun too.
Yeah, I know that was weird. Anyway, Catherine Zeta-Jones
Ooh la
and Owen
la.
Wilson of all people is in that movie too.
Owen Wilson was also in Anaconda, which is very random.
Yeah, I know.
Got eaten by a snake.
Yeah, I know. Yep. And don't, not to spoil it for you, the Owen Wilson got his head um devout, like, sorry, got his head freaking
Cut off.
cut off in that movie. So sorry to
Yeah,
spoil it for you.
it's all good.
Yeah.
But other fun movies that were out during this time were Big Daddy. Actually, Big Daddy I think was number two for that month. I think it was Big Daddy.
Oh, cool. Good. Love that movie.
And also the South Park movie. The South Park movie was mad funny.
Mm. Let's not forget another favorite movie of mine came out that summer.
The Wood.
No.
You don't like The Wood?
No, I do. I do. It's one of them. Though, what was my favorite movie? But that's Summer.
American Pie.
One of them. Yeah, but you're close though, but not yet. It is from Universal.
Okay, Universal. 99.
Summer.
Summer of 99.
Yes.
Was it before or after this show?
Oh, before. A couple months
Okay.
before.
Couple months?
Yeah.
Shit. Universal. The Mummy.
Yes. There you go. You won the prize.
Yeah. The Mummy. Yeah, the Mummy came out like right before Owen Hart died. Yeah, like around that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Same thing for Star Wars Episode One. Um, Man,
Yeah, it's
that's Wild
funny.
Wild West. You have not. I don't know. I'm scared that I don't know if I want to tell you to watch that movie, man. I don't know. You're
I'm
gonna
good. I'm good. After I think if it's any worse than Hancock, holy shit.
honestly, if I had to pick, this is just me for guilty pleasure. If I had to choose between Wild Wild West and Hancock, I'm picking Wild Wild West over it. We cannot deny the fact that the music video was dope.
Yeah, They even performed it on Abbott Elementary recently.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they performed the song on Abbott Elementary for
That is
like the
funny.
school dance.
That is funny. Wow, that's funny. You cannot. I will not deny the fact that commercial success. It was good though. I remember freaking they were like displaying that movie on Burger King. Like I think you got like a one of the burger meals or whatever that you got like
Happy
the
Meals.
sunglasses. Yeah, you got like the sunglasses from the movie or whatever, something like that. But yeah, um, yeah, that is crazy though.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember how popular that song was, and yeah, the hype behind the movie when it came out. But then, even Will Smith said himself that he was embarrassed that the movie made the amount of money that it did. Like he didn't like the fact that it actually made money because he just knew that it wasn't a good movie. Kind of like how George Clooney knew that Batman and Robin wasn't a good movie.
you know what's crazy about that? That you know what's really crazy about that Wild Wild West movie?
What's
How
up?
originally, so the directors wanted to cast Will Smith as Neo in The Matrix, but he turned it down for Wild Wild West.
Damn,
That
he's
is,
like that sometimes.
I know, I know. I even found out not too long ago that they wanted to get Martin Lawrence to cast as Carter in Rush Hour, but I think he turned it
Mm,
down.
it
It was
maybe
better
could
for
have
Chris
worked.
Tucker.
It maybe would have worked, but yeah, Chris Tucker was the better pick.
Yeah, yeah. But that whole Will Smith in the Matrix, man, that is freaking crazy that he turned that down, man.
Yeah, it is crazy. But
Damn.
what was also crazy, including the movies that were out at the time. Yeah, it's crazy. American Pie did come out like right before this show.
Hmm.
Yo,
I love that movie.
a lot of that shit from that movie would not fly today.
Yeah, who cares? I hate how this generation takes a lot certain movies from back then offensive. Come on, that was just a movie. It's
Well,
entertainment.
the one scene I'm referring to is when he like films Homegirl in his room and like
That
films it
was
for
the
like the whole
best
neighborhood.
scene. That was the best scene. That was the funniest scene of them all. I love that scene. Just had me dying. He literally did all that to find out that now it's being filmed, shown in everybody in the neighborhood. I
Man,
was like, bro, he embarrassed himself.
very embarrassing. But
Oh,
also what was also let's get into some of the music that was hot at the time. And one thing that
ooh,
was really popping during this summer of '99 were those damn boy bands like the Backstreet Boys, In
mm-hmm.
Sync. I think I remember around this time watching TRL a lot with my cousins when I because I was visiting New York at the time. And yeah, like every day they would watch TRL. That damn like I Want It That Way song would always be number one. And to the
Mm-hmm.
point where they had to retire it. They had to retire the video after a while. That's how like long it was on that damn show.
Well, because everybody, well, girls were obsessed with them, and
Yeah.
I remember it was like a debate on who was better, Backstreet Boys or NSYNC.
Also, Britney Spears was really hot at the time.
No.
Christina Aguilera was also very hot at the time, which is funny. Her song "Genie in the Bottle" was the number one song around the time of this Fully Loaded show.
Wow. Oh, wow, that is crazy. Do
Yeah,
you
so like all
remember
those.
you know what
Go
one
ahead.
song that I really like think about, like, especially that year alone? Remember that song Mambo Number 5 by Lou Bergara?
Of course.
Yeah. No, I love that song.
Also, another song from Wild Wild West that was hot during this time, the Baramos song from Enrique Iglesias.
Oh, yes. Yes. So, okay, so my parents have the movie on VHS, right? Still have it.
Yeah,
So you know how I love how like certain movies, when you're done watching the movie, they'll show a music video after.
yeah.
They did that for Soul Food too, though. But
Oh yeah, I had the DVD. They had all the music videos on the DVD.
yeah. So for Wild Wild West, they showed the two music videos. They showed, of course, the Will Smith Wild Wild West music video, and then right after they showed the Bailamos by
Baramos,
Enrique Iglesias, which was cool. I
good
thought I was like,
shit.
oh, okay, yeah, I like that. I miss that when they. That was what cool about VHS. There was certain movies you get, and they'll show like a music video, after the movie. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, definitely, I fucks with that too. And yeah, a lot of
Yeah, of
hip hop and R&B was white hot at the time, including Eminem's
course.
first album was out during this period. Also, the
Mm.
Rough Riders Volume One, the Rough Riders were really killing it during this time. Cash Money
Hmm.
Millionaires really killing it during this time. Also, Destiny's Child's second album, The Writing on the Wall, came out like right after this show with like
Oh, really?
Bills and Boogaboo and all those songs. This is like before they had the split with the Two Girls Who Left,
Oh, okay. I
like literally
see.
right before that.
Hmm. Man, I feel like 1999 was. I think that's one of those years that doesn't get enough credit as the other years. Like 99 was just an underrated year in the 90s. It's the last year of the 90s. And I
And it went out
remember
with a
that
bang.
it really did in pop culture and in movies and music and just in general. Like I was only, how old was it? 7? Yeah, 7 at the time. I was living in paradise. I was living in Hawaii, believe it or not.
It's so funny. During this time, my mom was gonna make my brother and I move to New York because we were living at my grandma's house and she had like an injury, and because of the injury and her not being able to work, my mom couldn't afford to like keep us in Florida, so she was gonna send us to live in New York. So that was like a whole like dramatic situation going on during that time. So like we didn't know if we were gonna ever come back to Florida, or if that was ever gonna work out or what was gonna happen. But eventually we did end up coming back. A lot of drama surrounded that too. But yeah,
Mm,
there was a lot of uncertainty like surrounding me and my brother at the time about like, where our future was, where we were gonna stay. Yeah, it was weird. Very, very
mm.
weird and dark times family wise.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Is what it is, but luckily I did have something like WWE to help me kind of escape that at least for a little while.
Yeah. Um, that's crazy. I was. I look back at that time. I'm actually still surprised I actually lived there during that time. I living in Hawaii, and a lot of people ask me, "Do I remember living?" Of course, I remember. I was in elementary school, and just neighborhood. Like that was the place where I had made my very first best friend. I was doing a lot of things at the time. I was in karate, actually. Well, I had started karate the year before. Actually, I think I started like in '98, I believe. But during that time, I was in karate. I think I was a yellow belt at the time, and I was already competing in a tournament already. And I was, playing, random sports and just being a kid and watching, being outside with my friends and the video games, like the normal stuff what a kid do though. But I really do remember doing karate over there. So
That's what's
a
up.
little
Yeah, it's good to find
little
good to find those
little Cobra
hobbies.
Kai for you.
Clutch. Yeah, actually, this summer is like the first summer like where I started to lose weight because like when I was a kid, I was overweight. So like this
Mm,
summer was like when I first started to like exercise without my brother telling me to or anybody telling me to. Like I was actually like, taking it seriously. I would like run every day. I would do sit ups like twice a day. Yeah, this is like the first summer like where I really started to like buckle down on my weight, and it really paid off.
nice.
Yeah, good shit. But also, one big event that actually happened the weekend of this fully loaded show was Woodstock 99.
Oh, this was in July?
It was this weekend. It was, yeah, the
Oh,
weekend of
wow.
this fully loaded. Yeah, and
Crazy.
that show, that festival was fucking out of control. That exemplified what the WWE product was at this time. Because yeah, that festival, from the documentaries I've watched and whatnot, yo, I would not ever want to go to a music festival like that. That does not sound fun at all. Even with all the great musicians and great acts they had, like I think I posted a picture last week of DMX performing there. It was like a sea of people surrounding it. Yeah, just an iconic image. But as far as being there in person, from the stories I've heard and the people who have been there described it, no freaking thank you.
Is there a documentary where I could watch this?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. It's called Trainwreck, the Woodstock 99
Oh,
story.
cool. Where was
Yeah,
it
it's
at?
divided in three parts. It's divided in three parts. Like the first part's about the first day, second part, second day, third part, third day. It was in, ironically enough, also in New York. It was in this place called Rome, New York.
Rome, New York. That's interesting. I gotta watch this. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they had DMX there, they had Korn there, they had James fucking Brown performing there. It was so messed up when Rosie Perez was on stage and also Sheryl Crow was on stage performing. The crowd kept chanting, "Show your tits" at them.
What?
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then they actually blamed a big reason why the crowd got so out of control and like so amped up. They blamed Limp Bizkit for it.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Limp Bizkit was there. How could I forget that? I
Yeah,
gotta watch that.
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, the performance of Corn, like when you see the way the audience is performing the Corn, and like you see the whole waves throughout the audience, it's insane. But yeah, just the way it was planned, like just the conditions people were under being there, how expensive everything was. Like women were getting sexually assaulted, people were all fucked up on drugs, people were setting things on fire by the end of it. Yeah, that whole thing was madness.
Was this the last one that they had?
They haven't had a Woodstock since. Yeah, they have not had one since.
And you don't think they'll ever go back?
I don't want to say they'll never do it, but after how that one turned out, I would not be surprised if we don't ever see one again.
Okay, I'll watch the documentary since it's recommended by you, and I'll be the judge by that. So yeah, because I myself I know what it's like to be at a music festival. So yeah,
All
but
right.
that yeah.
Yeah, and also the biggest news story that was happening around this time was actually the JFK Jr. plane crash.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Where did he crash like was it where did he crash at? I remember that.
I think it might have been somewhere in New York, if not somewhere else. But yeah, I just remember they were talking about that nonstop on the news during that time.
Oh wow, I do remember that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. Yeah, and that's kind of like where the whole Kennedy family's curse thing like really took off,
Oh
from what I
yeah.
remember.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, sad story. Yeah, very sad situation how it turned out. And yeah, it was I would say between that and the Columbine shooting, those are like two of the biggest news stories that
Shit.
year.
Yeah, that Columbine shooting happened in May, yes?
Yeah, no, April,
No,
420 of
April,
all days.
April. April, yeah. Now I remember
Yeah, it
April.
happened on 420, and ironically enough, that's actually the same day that Ravishing Rick Rude died.
Wow.
All right, yeah. Before we get into Fully Loaded, it's funny. A very popular Nickelodeon cartoon debuted the week before this show. You know what cartoon that was?
SpongeBob SquarePants, baby.
That's right. I remember when they were promoting it because it's
Yes.
like towards the end of when I was watching Nickelodeon. I never
Yeah.
got into it. It was never for me, but that show was probably one of their biggest cartoons they ever did, probably next
Oh,
to Rugrats.
absolutely. Oh my god, how could I forget about Nickelodeon at that time? The literally the heyday of my childhood of Nickelodeon, dude. Of all the shows, dude, you had that. Rocket Power. That Rocket Power was like in one show that I just loved that related to me because of what I like to do. Skateboarding, them playing. hockey sometimes, um, surfing, snowboarding. They just did a lot of things that like, oh my god, like I kind of do that. That's like I do this stuff, and it really related to me, and I love that show. So yeah, man, Nickelodeon was freaking amazing. I think the Amanda Show debuted around that time too, though. I'm not for sure. Maybe it was like 99 or 2000. I'm not for sure though. But yeah, I love Nickelodeon during that time, man. Loved
I
it.
was like I was like towards the end of my Nickelodeon fandom at this point because by this point I was 13. I still
Mhm.
watched it, but this is like me towards like the end of it. Like by
Yeah.
2000, 2001, I wasn't watching it as much anymore, but
Yeah.
I still do have good memories of this time frame of it. But
Yeah.
what I do have good time frames of, despite how out of control and crazy it was at the time, was WWE's product, which brings us to our show we're covering today, Fully Loaded 99. And unfortunately, I don't have a lot of time. I only have about 20 minutes or so we're going to have to skim through most of it. So let's run down this card from Fully Loaded 99, which took place at the Marine Midland Arena in Buffalo, New York. And the opening match, we had Edge defending the Intercontinental title that he had just won randomly the night before from the man he
Yeah.
took it from in that same match, Jeff Jarrett, along with Deborah, who was getting way bigger pops than him at the time.
Of course, because of the puppies. That's right. Yeah. This was look, I felt like this match and just pretty much like the whole like lower card were just kind of just
Thrown
let's just
together.
get through it and get to the main event type of deal. There wasn't like a whole lot of writing on all these matches or what happened. I remember the only highlight that happened during that match, Gangrel showed up and he missed the bloodbath, which was intended for Edge, which was weird.
Yeah, that was the first time they got like backfired on him. Yeah, he got
Yeah.
like laid out by Edge because they had like just like kind of fallen off around that time. They were like
Mm.
breaking up the Brood, or at least the original version of the Brood by that period. And then
Hmm.
Gangrel eventually recovered and like slammed Edge's neck into the ropes, and then Jeff Jarrett hit him with the stroke. It wasn't called the stroke at the time in WWE, but that's what the move was. And then Jeff Jarrett regained the title after only losing it the night before. Funny,
Yeah.
Edge's very first title he wins like at a non-televised house show, even if it was in Toronto. Still, it's kind of strange.
Yeah, it is weird.
And then Jeff Jarrett celebrating with the title afterwards, and all of a sudden Stone Cold Steve Austin comes out and hits him with a stunner.
So the reason, so we kind of fast track. So it was crazy how that event started because first of all, let's not forget the intro of that event. Of all the intros they did in the Attitude Era,
Oh,
that is by far one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite intros for a pay per view. Loved it because it was
I'll,
the end of an era.
I'll be missing you when you go. When you go far away. Oh, that was classic. I like the entrance too, where they had like the picture of Vince bleeding like in the middle of it.
You had Austin on one side and Undertaker on the other. But anyway,
Brilliant. Brilliant.
brilliant. So anyway, like literally, like, well, no, I'm sorry. During Sunday Night Heat, because we still had chaos going on during that. I love how you had chaos going on Heat going into your pay per view, and it did because Austin pretty much got attacked by Undertaker and got busted open. So Austin was pissed off about what happened, and he was looking for Undertaker, and he pretty much took his anger out on Jeff Jarrett. And I remember during that time, especially during that summer, it felt like every time when Jeff Jarrett had a match, Austin would come in and just for the hell of it and just beat him up.
Yeah, I think that was around the time that Vince Russo was trying to get Austin a feud with Jarrett, but Austin didn't want to do it. So I guess that was like the little of it they did do,
Oh,
which might have been a catalyst for them going to WCW a few months later, but that's another
gotcha.
story. So in our next match for the tag team titles, we had the Hardy Boys and Michael Hayes, who just became their manager around this time. This is like when the Hardy Boys like first started making noise. They had just
Hmm.
won the tag team titles from the Acolytes a few weeks before this, and at this show they would be facing the Acolytes again in a 3-on-2 handicap match.
Yeah, and look, I know God, no offense to Michael Hayes. I know he was, retired and not doing a whole lot. But my God, he was just getting just beaten up, senseless in this match. But it was all pretty much the Hardy Boys were just pretty much doing most of the work, but it wasn't enough as the Acolytes regained the tag team titles in this match.
Yeah, I love that one move when Jeff Hardy's gonna do the springboard and then JBL hits him with the clothesline from hell in
Good
midair.
God.
Nasty, nasty.
Ooh. Ooh. But just how dangerous were the Acolytes were, man. This was
Yeah,
before they became the APA, right? Because they were still part of the ministry from The Undertaker, though. But these two were just like, you look at these two, Kurt, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to face these guys.
hell no.
No.
He'll be in the hospital for a month at least.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so they hit Michael Hayes with that double power bomb to win and regain the titles, at least for 2 weeks before they dropped them back to Kane and X Pac. But
Mm,
yeah, it was just weird seeing Michael Hayes and the Hardy Boys together. Like I almost forgot that that was a thing for a while, and like the
yeah.
Hardys were, and like they all dressed the same. Like Michael Hayes is trying to dress cool, like trying to dress like he's hip.
Oh, God.
It's crazy. The Hardys had like 4 managers within 1 year. They had Michael Hayes, then they had Gangrel as the new Brood briefly, then they
Oh,
had Terry
yeah.
Runnels.
Yeah.
They had Terry Runnels for a little while. Then they finally found Lita, and then that's like the one that clicked for them.
Yep. But
All right, but
they really hit their popularity later that year at after No Mercy.
oh yeah, hands down. But this is kind of like the early rumblings of it.
Yeah.
And in our next match, we had Midian defending the European title that he took from Shane McMahon's bag and never won against the man who helped make that title famous, D'Lo Brown.
Yes, the famous, the legendary D'Lo Brown, very underrated wrestler during the Attitude Era, and
Very underrated.
very underrated. His theme song and his move set, I love the lowdown, his modified frog splash, which again, not a whole lot of writing in this match though. But hey, get through it, and they did, and D'Lo Brown regained the European title. Midian, what a weird guy. I'll never forget when the night when they abducted him and brought him into the ministry. That was just creepy.
Yeah, it was always kind of had him in like weird characters and doing weird things. Like he was like the Phineas and the Godwins. Then
Mm.
yeah, he was Midian in the Ministry of Darkness, and then he did like the whole naked Midian like storyline for a
Oh,
little while too.
yeah,
Yeah, but D'Lo Brown, I will say this is my favorite period of D'Lo Brown. Like when he first won back the European title here, like when he
yeah,
had the run with it, he did around this time. This is
yeah,
like my favorite period of him. Like unfortunately, this is before the whole accident with Drives happened. That kind of like derailed his momentum. But
yeah.
before that, he was really killing it.
Oh, he was hot, especially with the crowd. I loved. It was really funny when he was working along with Mark Henry. He
Or
was
helping
trying
him
to
lose
help him
weight.
get right. I'll never forget there
Yeah, he
was a
was doing that around
segment.
the time.
I'll never forget there was a segment during Raw where he was pretty much giving him all these healthy food, and Mark Henry's like, "Man, I'm from Texas, man. We eat meat. You got some mashed potatoes, some butter, and like, no, man, you gotta
Steak.
stay." Like, say, bro, it's
All right,
too
but
funny.
yeah, but anyway, yeah. So D'Lo Brown regained the European title here. So in our next match, we had Al Snow defending the Hardcore title against the Big Boss Man. And
My
yeah,
God,
this match never made it to the ring. This match literally
no,
started on the highway. They fought backstage and they fought
sheesh,
outside the arena. And then Big Boss Man like handcuffed Al Snow to like a pole or something, or like yeah, it's like the back of like a fence. And then like Al Snow kept telling him to put him out of his misery, like to put him out of his misery. And then Boss Man took some kind of stick and just started beating the hell out of Al Snow with it to the point where he was like spitting from his mouth. And then Boss Man put one foot on Al Snow and pinned him, and that was all she wrote. Big
weird.
Boss Man, new hardcore champion.
Yeah, you cannot deny it at that time. Look, the hardcore title, they were really making their matches pretty interesting, no matter what.
Yeah, and this was the early rumblings of their feud that would get a lot more weird and a lot more disgusting as the months
The
went on, if you
kennel
know
and
what I'm
hell,
saying.
the kettle was it the
Yeah.
kettle and the cell match or something like that or whatever? Or
Kennel from Hell match. Yeah, at Unforgiven.
God,
All right,
weird,
but the next less we say about that, the better. So in our next match, we had Kane going one-on-one with the Big Show with Hardcore Holly as the guest referee.
weird.
It's a good match on paper, but when you see the match play out, it's not so good.
I'm telling you, they were just trying to get through this night, man. I felt like we're just all
No,
right. Let's.
No, I could see why they put Kane against Big Show together because when you look at the two of them stand face to face, you're like, oh my god, this is like a monster match of epic proportions. But then
Yeah.
when you see it play out, they just didn't have that chemistry in the ring.
Look, the only interesting thing that I saw, freaking Big Show military press slammed Kane. He threw
Over
him
the top
outside of the
rope.
ring.
Yeah, that was crazy. And
Sheesh.
this is also around the time that Kane was teaming up with X Pac. And even the Monday
Yeah.
before this on Raw, like because around that time the Undertaker was trying to talk Kane into being on his side and for him to dump X Pac, and then the Undertaker at one point choke slammed X Pac, and then Kane saw it on the Titantron because he didn't see it when it happened, and then Kane choke slammed the Undertaker, and then him and X Pac finally hugged for the first time.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, I like their tag team back then, especially like
I
during this
kind of
period. They were a good
I,
team.
yeah, I do too. It was pretty interesting tag team, and in fact that they even became tag team champions after this. But it was funny. You actually saw like a softer human side of Kane, once they were tag team partners.
Oh yeah, definitely. This is around the time you like became a lot more human. Yeah, that's the best way I could put it. A lot more human.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, Kane had Big Show up for the choke slam, or I'm sorry, he was attempting a choke slam, and then Hardcore Holly hit him with a chop block, and then Big Show choke slam Kane, and then Holly did a damn fast count and
Yeah.
awarded Big Show the match. What kind of shit is that?
Weird.
Yeah, it was a weird ending, weird outcome, but Big Show was the winner. And then after the match, X Pac came out and knocked Hardcore Holly down with a kick, and then Undertaker came out and choke slam X Pac, and then Undertaker and Big Show double team Kane, and then X Pac got laid out on top of Kane on by the Undertaker, and Undertaker just left. And this is like the early rumblings of the Undertaker and Big Show tag team that we would see become official the next night on Raw.
Yeah. And then as Undertaker goes back to the locker room, Austin was there lurking and attacks him, and then he busts Undertaker open. Now Undertaker's bleeding now.
Yeah, now the odds were even. Undertaker
Hmm.
busted open Austin earlier in the show, and now Austin got him back. So now they were both drawing first blood before the match even happened. So yeah,
Anything could
I liked
happen.
I liked how they built this story throughout the night.
Yeah. It was kind of like you're watching an episode of Raw because all this chaos is happening before the pay-per-view, during the pay-per-view. It was just like, my goodness.
Yeah, it was madness, but it was fun madness in that sense. And
Yeah.
then in our next match, we had Ken Shamrock against Steve Blackman in an Iron Circle match.
Yeah, I was like, what? Iron. So I was like, what?
Weird.
Yeah.
It's just a match where like they're just surrounded by a bunch of cars and like all the wrestlers are like
Yeah.
standing outside of the cars and like honking the horns and like turning
Yeah.
on the bright lights, and then they just fight each other in the circle, and whoever walks out of the circle after knocking the other person down to the point where they can't get back up is the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't much to this. It was like very short. Yeah, it wasn't really very exciting for the most part. It just sounds like something that's good on paper, but then when you see it play out, it doesn't really pan out that way. Kind of reminds me of the
Mm.
Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler match from SummerSlam 2 years ago. But yeah,
Mm.
ultimately Ken Shamrock just started hitting Blackman with like his fist with like chains wrapped around him, and then Blackman was down, and then Ken Shamrock just walked out of the circle and won the match.
Mm.
This is like the second of two matches that the crowd didn't even get to watch live that like took place like backstage or somewhere else in the arena.
True. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is true.
weird.
Yeah.
And in our next match, we had for the rights to DX, we had X Pac and Road Dogg against Mr. Ass, Billy Gunn, and China.
uh Literally Mr. Ass because he was showing his ass, kind of like same wearing the same attire as China. This whole thing was just pretty much ever since Triple H and China left DX, it's kind of been like civil war between them and Road Dogg and X Pac and all of them. And yeah, and you forget that the month prior to this, Billy Gunn won the King of the Ring.
Yes, he did win the King of the Ring, and then right after that, Triple H was talking to China and Billy Gunn about how X Pac and Road Dogg are claiming all the rights to DX, even though they were the ones who left DX in the first place, that being Triple H and Billy Gunn. And then he said, "I want you to take China and I want you to fight them for the rights to DX." So like that's how this whole thing started. Like for them, For them, it was like all about like the money. It was all about like getting the merchandise royalties and all
Mm.
that. But then for X Pac and Road Dogg, they actually like lived and breathed DX. They did the suck it
Yeah.
thing still. They still had the
Hmm.
theme music. They were like all about the DX life. So then the match happened. It was what it was, and then ultimately Billy Gunn got laid out with the pump handle drop. Yeah, the pump handle drop it was called by Road Dogg, and then X Pac and Road Dogg won the match. There wasn't really much to it beyond that. To be honest, the thing that stood out most about this match was China and Billy Gunn's outfits.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, but so yeah, that match was what it was, and then now we're at our main events. And a strap match to decide who would face the WWE champion at SummerSlam. We had The Rock going one on one with Triple H.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is the night where the real Triple H or the game was born. So earlier that night on Sunday Night Heat, JR had a sit down interview with Triple H, and Triple H real pretty much he had his own pipe bomb. His real evil side came out, angry about how he's been treated, angry about what happened at the curtain call 3 years prior, talking about how this is his time. He doesn't give a damn about Jesse Ventura being at SummerSlam, how he's going to become the new champion at SummerSlam. It's not about anybody else but him. This is the night where the game was born. That segment on Sunday Night Heat.
Yep, that's the first time he called himself the game. He was dropping F bombs. He was going off about everything he'd been put through in those last few years. And yeah, this was the turning point for Triple H. Like the way like the Austin 316 speech was a turning point for Austin and the pipe bomb for Punk was a turning point for him. That interview was the turning point for Triple H.
Yes.
I did like before the match, like they were interviewing The Rock backstage and they showed The Rock being interviewed on screen where Triple H could see him. And The
Yeah.
Rock was just like roasted him, making fun of him about the whole speech, saying, "You
Yeah.
cry like a baby about, oh, I wanted to say goodbye to my friends. They held me back. They held me back." And he's like, "Yeah, they didn't hold you back because you wanted to say goodbye to your Rudy Poo friends. They held you back because you absolutely suck." Yeah, I'm bummed
Rock's
that they've
popular.
edited out. I'm bummed that they edited out the feud package for this match on this show.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, probably because they show the footage of the DX parody of the Nation where Mark Henry is impersonated by X Pac with the blackface.
Oh, right, right, right. Hmm. Yeah. Overall, this match was okay. It's not at the level of their SummerSlam match from '98 or the feud that they had the following year.
In
Especially at
2000.
Backlash and Judgment Day. Like, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, look, it's a number one contenders match for to get a title shot. Um, it was okay. And then towards the end, of course, China got involved, and then Billy Gunn got involved, which cost The Rock the match, and Triple H was your winner. And that would set up the feud between The Rock and Billy Gunn later on, which will go into SummerSlam the following month. But yeah,
Less we
this
say
was a
about that,
match.
the better.
Yeah, I know, but but yeah, this was a match that Triple H needed because after that segment, like, okay,
Take
you need to
advantage of
push
it.
this guy. Really need to push this guy.
Yeah, by that point, The Rock had already been the champion 3 times and main evented WrestleMania. So yeah, Triple H needed this a lot more. The match itself, it was fine. Like the strap, to be honest, the strap, I don't even think they needed because they didn't really use it that
Yeah,
much. But
and I
then
thought
go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. No, and I thought like it was a strap match. I thought it was like, oh, they have to touch the turnbuckles, but no, it was just a regular. They were just using it just to hit each other with it.
Yeah, but I mean, it played into the finish when, like, The Rock had Triple H beat, and then Billy Gunn pulled the strap. That kind of like played into how the match ended, and then The Rock bottom Billy Gunn. Then Triple H lays The Rock out with the pedigree, and then that's all she wrote. And actually, they documented this match on an episode of that show, True Life, because like around the time that show debuted, and they did an episode about wrestling, about being a professional wrestler, and they followed around Triple H in China, and they showed this match.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, it was that same week that WWE was on MTV, like the week before SummerSlam. Like every
Oh,
show that whole week was like WWE related.
right, 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 right.
All right, but yeah, so Triple H wins the match here. He beats The Rock, the number one contender for the title at SummerSlam, and we have the main event. Stone Cold Steve Austin defending the WWE Championship against The Undertaker in a first blood match with the stipulations we mentioned earlier. If Austin wins, Vince McMahon has to leave, but if The Undertaker wins, Austin can't ever get another title shot. And before the match, Vince McMahon, for old time's sake, came out to do commentary, but funny enough, he was on crutches during this time because actually on July 4th, like a few weeks before this show, he got into a car accident that injured his buttocks.
Damn. I liked how when he was walking towards the ring, I loved how JR mentioned how Vince McMahon will fire you in a board meeting if you sneezed. I was just like, what the
What a
hell?
weirdo. What a weirdo.
You can't control your allergies, bro. Like seriously.
All right, but anyway, yeah, we have the match. The match doesn't start in the ring. The match starts in the aisleway. They start like battling. They start like brawling all over the aisleway, brawling into the crowd. And yeah, they're both compromised. They're both compromised because they both got busted open earlier. And then yeah, they're brawling all over the place. And then there's one point where Undertaker kind of bumps into the referee. I think he was supposed to, but it didn't go the way it should. So like the Undertaker kicked him down, and then he like
Yeah,
just fell into the ropes randomly. Like he randomly fell into the ropes. And then
yeah.
Shane McMahon comes out, and then Austin just clocks his ass with a chair. And then Undertaker regains the advantage, and he's about to like finish off Austin while the referee's down. And then as he's about to finish him off, he picks up a chair. Then X Pac shows up to get revenge from earlier in the show and kicks the chair into Undertaker's face.
Yeah, and then Austin proceeded to get the camera from the cameraman, and he used the camera to hit Undertaker, and that's when Undertaker gets busted open. But the referee Earl Hebner's still out. Taker takes advantage over Austin. He's looked like he's about to give him a tombstone, but Earl Hebner gets up and he sees that Undertaker is bleeding, and he calls the match. And the match ended, but it really didn't end. If you really think
Hell
about it.
no. Undertaker knocked down the referee, and then Austin starts bleeding. Undertaker and Austin like are both like battling each other while they're both like dripping blood all over the place. Undertaker even knocks down Shane McMahon. The Rock and Triple H even come in and make run-ins.
Yeah,
Yeah, this whole thing was chaos, and like a whole bunch of officials needed to come out to separate them. Yeah, to be honest, I think the post match is better than the actual match.
I agree. It was literally the Wild Wild West, no pun intended. But damn it, so much was going on.
Yeah, but I was just so happy, like when I watched this match tonight at Air that Austin won. Yeah, it was just such a thrill, such a relief because of the stipulation. And then right after the match, Austin stunned Vince. And then like after he was brawling with Undertaker and made it back into the ring, he like helped Vince up or pretended to help Vince up. And we all knew what was coming from this.
Yep.
As he helped Vince up, he gave him one last stunner for old time's sake, and then Austin celebrated with the beer, raised his hands up, raised the title as blood was dripping all over his face, and that's how Fully Loaded '99 came to an end.
Overall, what would you give this event?
Eh, I guess I'm being nice when I say this a 5 out of 10. I'll say the main events were good, and the Hardys and Acolytes match was good too.
5.5 out of 10.
Yeah,
I
it's
will give what the chaos going on during that night with Austin getting busted open and him looking for Taker, and then yes, the tag team match, and then also um look, the DX tag match. I like how Road Dogg and X Pac got the win. Huge. The reaction from the crowd was really good. That was a huge pop that they got. Great. And then of course the last two main event matches. So
Yeah, this show is another prime example of just how WWE's product, like in '99, it was still popular. Everybody was still watching it, but other than the main events, like the main event angles, everything, most of the undercard wasn't really that interesting. It would not get interesting until the next year, which was obviously 2000. And Fully Loaded 2000 was a way stronger show, way better show than the show we just reviewed.
I feel like in general, like pretty much majority of the pay per views from '99, like the product was really hot, like Raw and everything, good ratings and all that viewership. But when it came to their pay per views, I felt like most of their pay per views didn't really like deliver.
Yeah, I mean the main event delivered here. The main event definitely had a big match feel to it. Like you really felt like it was a big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
Like I said, in a way, this match was as big, if not bigger, than the match Austin and Undertaker had at SummerSlam the year before. I think it was a better match than the one they had at SummerSlam. But
Oh
yeah, like
yeah, yeah,
it really felt like a big deal. So like one thing I'll give WWE as far as like this show goes is that the main event felt like a big deal and it delivered and lived up to the expectations of that.
yeah. Like the main events they did well on, but it was like just in general as a pay per view event, it was kind of just like a little bit of like a letdown. Like
Yeah,
I I felt like the early pay per views from that year was good. I like Royal Rumble, um, St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Um, okay. I was okay with WrestleMania. Backlash was okay. But I think the summer pay per views were kind of, and then towards the end of the year, just like, oh no, like don't get me
yeah.
started with the rest. Oh man,
I get it, but still, regardless, a memorable time in WWE, probably the
yeah,
peak of their
wild,
business during the Attitude Era
yeah,
financially, and yeah, it
yeah,
was the Wild Wild West to say the very least. But guys,
right,
we're out of time. I gotta get going, but just make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know what you like and don't like. Download the show also on Spotify as well as Spreaker. We'd love to communicate with you guys and debate with you in a healthy way. And yeah, just crazy that Hulk Hogan is dead. Yeah, I still can't believe it.
yeah, crazy that he passed away. Let's not forget Malcolm Jamal Warner and Ozzy Osbourne. Rest in peace to
Yeah.
all three of them. And yeah, follow us. Also, if you want to watch a video edition of it, YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. And take care. God bless, and always stay adventurous.
Yeah, and remember, most of all, don't be an asshole in real life or social media because that toxic bullshit is for the birds. And more importantly, it says a lot about the legacy you'll leave behind by being that kind of person. So make sure if you're going to be any kind of person, be the opposite of that kind of person. Peace.